Oh, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone. This is Enolia and I am here on today's conversation with Sarah Jane. Want to say hello, Sarah Jane?
I'll say hello, Sarah Jane, if you like. But hello, here. It's lovely to be here with you.
It's lovely to be here with you. I'll tell you, technology has truly been a challenge, but we're just going to go with the flow and we're going to go forward. So, we're excited here to be with you, and today we're going to talk about, are you standing in your truth? Why life is no longer an unconscious journey. You see, we love being unconscious as we walk through life. It's easy to be unconscious. And what I mean by being unconscious is that we get so caught up in our routines that we really don't have to think about anything. So, we unconsciously go, get up, take the shower, get dressed, go get the coffee, get the kids ready for school, or in this case, get ourselves ready for work, and then just move. And we're not thinking, we're not really conscious about it. How would you determine unconscious, Sarah Jane?
I was thinking about this in respect of what we were talking about today, and I view my life prior to my wake up call as being unconscious living. As much as I spent a lot of time trying to be a people pleaser, trying to think about what would make other people happy and like me, etc. I was just existing, not living.
Mm.
And to me, that is the difference between living consciously and living unconsciously. We either live and experience life and go with the flow to a certain degree in respect of what experiences are coming next. What am I open to? Or just existing with the mundane of life, which
Mm-hmm.
is what you were talking about in the opening. So the unconscious is, for me, as you said, it's just that, okay, I do this on a regular basis. I can do this without thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all do that to a degree. I've got to the stage where my get up routine is much of a muchness. But in the process of that, I've actually added, and because I've moved away from religion, and it's more about spirituality and gratitude. I don't like using the word prayer, but I go into my gratitudes while I'm doing my get up and my get up routine, the showering, the breakfast. I'm saying my thank yous, asking for support, not just for me, but for everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so there's potentially an element of unconscious about it, but I consciously do it because I feel very uncomfortable actually now, because I've been doing it for so long. If I don't wake up with that thank you, for another day that I slept well, etc., and all the stuff that I go into, it includes affirmations, it includes a whole load of stuff.
Yes, yes.
But yes, but there's an element of unconscious, but it's consciously done.
And I love what you're saying. I want to explore unconscious a little bit more. And when you talk about going through life, existing through life, that is really, really key because there's a couple of different ways that we can exist through life. First of all, we come into this world, we're children, we're adults, and automatically we're groomed that responsible adults will do X, Y, and Z. All right, so let's take one of those replicas of a responsible adult. A responsible adult will go to work, it will make a living, will be able to provide for themselves. Okay, so we grow up doing this. And we basically go to through these routines because they are expected of us. And they're expected of us because of the roles that we assume. And we don't assume the roles, wantingly, like I'm going to take on this role. But the dutiful daughter, the dutiful wife, or the dutiful worker is expected to do, and it's already predefined. And so, because we're a daughter, because we're the worker, because we're a wife, or because we're a mother, these are the things that we do. And we do them because the roles are already predefined. We're not even defining those roles as we assume them. So in exploring this, one of the things that I find is that you actually start living life and existing in life as everyone has defined what that role should be. I kind of call it like dream a beautiful dream or you will be dreamt. You are actually living the dreamt part. A dutiful daughter does this, so you assume the role. A dutiful wife does that, you assume the role. And you look up and you assumed all these roles and you're doing everything you were told to do. But you're not doing anything that you would do. And I think that that's part of what we as people do when we first come up and we grow up and we have these scenarios of wanting to do and make our parents proud, is that we assume these roles. And we never gave thought to, is this truly what I want? Is this truly what makes me happy? Does it feel good to do this role? I mean, there's a really, really strong piece in that, above and beyond just the routine of settling and saying, because I have this role, I have to do this. And because I have that role, I have to do that. And not only do my parents define what that role looks like, but society does. So I just think that that's an interesting facet. What do you think about that?
But I think let's just take it almost a step further because you very much talked about from the woman's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But from the man's perspective, he is almost expected to marry, have a wife, have children, go out and earn a living and be a breadwinner from the era that I was brought up in.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, during the intervening years, things have changed. And, the man can stay at home and be a house husband, and the woman can be the one that goes out to work and be the breadwinner.
Mm-hmm.
Because there has been that progression, that change.
Mm-hmm.
But it is still, so we are all affected by it.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of gender, we are all affected by the preconceived idea of our role.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, and you've used the word doing, and I love this. We are not doings, we are beings.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
And so for me, it is about male, female, whoever you are a being, not a doing.
Mm-hmm. But
Be within the role.
Right.
It's not about
Doing.
the role.
Right. But that's what we're taught from infancy to do. And,
Yeah.
it's interesting because it's not easy to take responsibility for anything. The only thing constant in life is change. Everything is changed. And I want to talk about how change impacts us. And when I say life's journey is the change, and it's funny because I'm writing an article about this, I really tried to step back and look at change, and I want to get your input on this. When things are invented, when things are discovered, it changes our lives. For example, the first discovery of the fact that we could have an automobile, the invention of the automobile, the invention of electricity, right? So life has innovations all around us, and those innovations impact our lives. Okay? And what we're coming to is a digital age. And everything is impacting our lives. And then I was sitting there thinking about this and going, okay, so how am I responding and adapting to this change? And what is it that I have to change because the world around me is changing? What are your thoughts?
I'd like to take a step back on that because you've come at it from modern. But go back to our ancient ancestors when they first discovered fire, the difference that made in their lives and how they could create it. When they first discovered how to sharpen something, whether it was a bone or an antler, or discovered flint, to be able to cut things more easily, to be able to make it easier for them to provide food for themselves. There has always been innovation. It is just that innovation seemed to go relatively slowly to start with. Boy, has it gone bang in less than 100 years.
And then I think that the other piece of this is that there is a choice in how we choose to use the innovation.
Yeah.
How we choose to use it in a positive manner. How we choose to use it to enhance people's lives. How we choose to embrace it in our relationship to it. And then how we choose to integrate it into our world, because nature is necessary no matter what we invent. Without nature, without trees, without Earth Mother, without, the photosynthesis taking place that creates oxygen, we won't be here. So it is imperative, I think, that we find that balance also with all of the innovations and the change that life brings, that we bring forward in life, that allows life to bring forward to everyone else.
Oh, absolutely. And I think there are changes that have happened that we were unaware of. And I look at farming, especially of livestock, the lack of animal husbandry. Not all changes are good changes. The banning of an amazing plant because it could do so much, which meant we didn't have to chop down trees, but it actually has medicinal properties, that it can do so much for us and grows so rapidly. We haven't looked at all changes, or we haven't been aware of all changes. Some people have been, and they've taken decisions without the whole being aware. And I think it's all of us, and this is all coming out. The changes that have occurred that we were unaware of because we have lived unconsciously. Technology, the internet, is an amazing tool that can be used for so much good, for so much positive. But it has also been abused by people. And so there's good and good and bad use of things.
So then let's take a step back now that we've talked about that piece of existing through life, and really, really clearly and cleanly list some aspects, some true attributes of living consciously. Starting up from even waking up in the morning. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, not so easy for this person who sleeps so badly anyway. How much sleep I get, I'm not convinced. And how long I've been awake before I actually realise I'm awake, I don't know. It's just one of those, but I've lived with this for so many years. So it's not oh yes, I'm awake now. It's Okay, well, actually, what time is it? Should I be thinking about my getting up process? And it is a conscious thought when it comes to, it's not, and even if it's, oh my goodness, because I'm not one of these people who likes alarms.
Mm-hmm.
I did paper round as a kid, and the alarm
Mm-hmm.
went off. And I got to the stage where I didn't trust the alarm to go off, so that I had to be awake to hear the alarm go off. So it is, if unless I have to be up ridiculously early, I never ever use an alarm, and I just go with the flow. And if I'm, oh, that's a bit later than I hoped it would be, I still go through my gratitudes, my thank yous, I still do it all,
Mm-hmm.
in spite of the fact it may be later than I hoped. But then that's the joy of being self employed and not having to be in an office by a particular time. And I
But
think,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, no, no. And I think that's really important. I have a huge element of freedom, and I took that conscious decision that I was no longer going to unconsciously go through life with the mundane of 9 to 5 or whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
into an office every morning, home again, or into a retail shop and home again, or into a whatever and home again.
Mm-hmm.
That was my conscious choice that my life was going to change.
Yeah. And I have to speak on behalf of being self-employed as well as those people who have to get up and work in the morning. But I mean, for me, it was like get up in the morning and to just say, thank you for allowing me to have a breath today. Thank you for allowing me to see another day. I am grateful for the wind, the air, just everything that's around me. I look around me and see the people who surround me or the loved ones who surround me. And I'm grateful to be with them, to consciously get up and understand that the relationship I have with everything counts. The relationship I have with my family, the relationship I have with food, because what I'm putting in my body is nurturing me and nourishing me and giving me the energy that I need to start my day. The relationship that I have with everything, with how I treat the material things that are around me that I have, that are lending me their energy to get me to where I need to go, if it's my car or the clothing that I'm wearing, because everything serves its purpose, and I just acknowledge it all. The relationship that I want to have with other people above and beyond, let's say, my core family or my core friends, I'm conscious of it, and it needs to be a conscious effort to made to understand that this relationship is meaningful to me. It's not just status quo or taken advantage of. And to be present when I'm talking to people versus just like, oh yeah, I talk to them every day, it's no big deal, just say hi and go on while my mind is 30,000 other places and not really even acknowledging or seeing that person. Because there's a mutual respect that takes place, there's a mutual acknowledgement that takes place, and an honoring of each other. And to be able to walk through life such that if anything changes or if anything's different, I know that the best part of me has shown up at that very moment, that the best part of me made that decision, that the best part of me was present in regards to what had to be decided or the impact I chose for it to have. So to me, it's our relationship with everything in the world.
Yeah.
And just being aware of it and being present for it and conscious of it and responsible for it. Responsible for the words that come out of my mouth. Especially in situations that are challenging where you really want to be unkind, and taking responsibility for any and all actions that I do.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting path. What other takes would you have on that?
Yeah, everything that you've just said, I look out the window first thing in the morning. I open the curtains and I say, good morning to the sun, to the rain, regardless of whether it's sun or rain, it doesn't matter, and
Yeah.
to the Mother Earth. It's that gratitude. And then it's very much about what speaks to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, are we standing in our truth?
And
Or are
that's
you still living from somebody else's?
right. And that's so important because I want to address those people out there who are angry a lot. And taking responsibility for being angry too is huge, and being conscious, because first of all, I want to break it down. There are like three stages of anger. There's angry, oh, you caught me off guard, kind of made me angry, but I let it go. Not a big deal. And then there's the anger where, you're not caught off guard. You're very angry. You might hold a grudge or resentment, and you can actually escape ever facing that because you just choose not to acknowledge the person anymore or speak to the family member anymore. There's that anger we hold in our hearts. I don't even want to talk about where that leads, because that it doesn't serve anyone to really be angry. And then there's that paralyzing anger, that anger that you can't get past, that anger that just makes you so frustrated and so upset that everything shuts down. And when you take responsibility and you are showing up for yourself and you are looking at that, you have to look at that anger and say, how is this serving me right now? How is this making my body feel? And how is this going to help me move forward in life? Because being conscious is also being conscious of how emotions impact us or shut us down in this regard. And it also means, how do we confront ourselves to move past it and to move through it and to understand that it is not serving me just holding it here and shutting down, that this I can take responsibility for it, release the anger, and then rechannel that energy of anger to doing something about it. So, what are your thoughts regarding that?
My thought is, if you go into anger, why are you angry? What is causing that anger? Can you trace it back to something that has happened in the past? And this is very much because I work with our younger self, the inner child. And you use the word confront it. And my reaction would be confrontation. And I know it's just a word, but it's a perspective of word. Confrontation can just lead to greater anger. Whereas if you can go in and think about, okay, what's hurt me so badly that it's got me in this state? And it is being kind to yourself, loving yourself enough to sit with it, and loving yourself enough to be able to go with it, to try and find out why and how, and forgiving yourself for letting yourself be affected that way. What other people do and say, and especially if it's about you, is none of your business. And I don't mean that nastily. It is their stuff. You retaliate, you react to what they say, that is your business. That is your stuff. Love yourself enough. And please, I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy. But our reactions are unconscious reactions.
Mm-hmm.
Unless we give ourselves a chance to step back. What's going on within me that has caused me to feel this way? And actually, am I feeling anger, or is there something else I am feeling? This is a label on this feeling that I've put. And I'm going to step away from the anger aspect here. And I'm going to go to almost a fear. A few years back, I got the chance to go on one of our main television channels, a program called The Weakest Link. And so I was going to be flying up to Scotland that day. It's the other end of the country. Fly up to Scotland for the recording of the program and then be coming back again. And as I was showering very early in the morning because of getting to the train station, to get the train across to Southampton, to be able to get the plane up, and there was a load of stuff that went on with that as well, but that's beside the point. It was all about the experience. But as I was showering, I felt this sensation in the pit of my stomach. And I thought, what is this? Is it fear? And then I thought, do you know what? It's not. It's anticipation. But many, many years ago, when I was hospitalized as a baby, a year old, less than a year old, my parents got to see me once a week for an hour. That feeling probably rose in me every time I saw them. That anticipation they were going to take me home. But as every week went by and they left me behind, that feeling became a label of fear that I was going to be left behind again.
Mm-hmm.
So can we look at the labels we put on feelings and sensations? And can we find that root cause so that we're not living an unconscious journey anymore? That we're much more conscious in our way of living and being.
Mm-hmm. And I tell you, I have to agree with what you said wholeheartedly. I mean, I'm in alignment with that. It is imperative that we look at that child and we look at that being within ourselves to really address why we feel the way we do and why would we allow this emotion to paralyze us the way that we do or the way that it has, and what is the true cause of that. Yes, and it is none of our business. Who cares what other people think? Because by attaching emotion to somebody else's thought of us, we just gave away our power.
Yeah.
We just gave it all away to that person, and we took on their judgment of us and gave them our power without even realizing it, because we act as if what was said or what was judged is our truth. And that leads us to that aspect of standing in our truth.
Yeah.
Really, to stand in your truth is to stand in what you believe in, whether it is, and I don't want to use the word conformity, but whether it is in alignment with everyone else or not, doesn't matter. It's our truth. And I want to make this really clear because people can see the exact same thing. But if you go to each one of those individuals and you say, tell me what you saw, they're going to express two different things from their perspectives because they're two different individual people. Does that not make it the truth? So that's why I like to say standing in my own truth, because my truth is my truth. And you may not agree with it, and you may not see it the same way I see it. And you may not acknowledge all of the different aspects which make it my truth. But it doesn't make it untrue. It just makes it my truth. So what would your perspective be on that?
It is very much about. I worked with adults with learning difficulties and physical problems. Their reality, their truth of life is totally different to mine. Totally different to mine.
Yes.
You know, anybody who's affected by any form of disability, and I don't like that, because you just got to look at the Paralympians. They're classed as having a disability, yet they have said to life, I'm living you. That is their truth. My truth is my truth.
Exactly.
And there could be a million people listen to what you and I have said today, and they're all going to hear something slightly differently because it is their truth. They will listen to what you've said and think, yes, great. They'll listen to what I've said. Oh, no. And could be the vice versa. And everybody could be saying no to both of us. It doesn't matter. This is about us sharing, for me, to help people to realize that there are other ways to view things. And if you're not comfortable in your truth, in the conformity, you can step into what is your truth. Have the courage to say, that's not for me, but this is.
Exactly. Exactly. And so, you know what? This might be a good place to just say that and wrap things up, because standing in the truth and then supporting others while being true to yourself is exactly where our conversation is going to go for our next get together. So let's talk about that a little bit. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your perspective, and I want to thank you for sharing your heart the way that you have. I love these conversations, and it's beautiful that we've decided, even though this is our episode 4 and it was supposed to be our 4th and final, that we have decided to just continue on a little bit more. So our next episode is going to be on August 26th on Wednesday. And it's today's conversation, but it's going to be on Gift of Healing TV. And it will be at 11:30 a.m. PST, that's Pacific Standard Time, and 7:30 p.m. in UK BST time. And our conversation then and topic will be how to support others while being true to yourself. So, Sara, thank you. Thank you. Do you want to say a few words before we completely wrap it up?
All I want to say is thank you to you. Sort of we chose to do this, and they have been amazing conversations. And what I love is the fact that we've set the title for the next one, but we haven't had the conversation yet. Somehow they've literally led on one from the other.
Yes.
There's, for me, I'm going to say it, there is a higher power in charge here that has given you and I an element of free voice, and I've no doubt we're channeling a load of stuff too. And I hope people are still comfortable with that, because I do feel that I'm guided. I know that you feel you're guided.
Yes.
And giftofhealingtb.com, there's a whole load of stuff there that's absolutely free to watch. Go and enjoy it and experience it. Help and support. It's help and support for you. And I know Enolia helps and supports and shares as well. Thank you for joining us and experiencing these with us.
Yes. Thank you, Sarah. Sarah Jane. And then I would like to just share that I love these conversations. They are on my YouTube channel at Enolia. And you can also listen to these on my website along with a collection of meditations and free classes also on www.enolia.live. And we welcome you and we welcome your topics too. So if there's a conversation that you'd love for us to have, please, respond back or leave us a note at either one of our websites. And we welcome to hear what you might be interested in us discussing too. So thank you for your time. We're grateful. And at this point, until we see each other again.
Namaste.
Aho.